Hey everyone! So, let's dive into a concept that is right at the absolute heart of the Christian faith: justification. Now, I know it might sound like a big, dusty theological term, but it really answers one of the most personal and profound questions any of us can ever ask. And that question is simply this: how can any of us, as flawed, imperfect people, ever hope to be seen as right in the eyes of a perfectly holy and just God? Seriously, think about that. This is the central problem, the main tension that drives the entire story of the Bible. And the doctrine of justification? Well, that's God's absolutely stunning answer. To really appreciate the beauty of the solution, we first have to feel the weight of the problem. And the Bible is incredibly clear about this. God's perfect, pure holiness, and our sin, they just can't coexist. It's like oil and water. This creates a massive dilemma, not just for humanity as a whole, but for each one of us personally. And the scale of this problem is, well, it's huge. The Bible talks about God's wrath against sin, not because he's having a bad day, but because his justice is perfect and absolute. And the root issue, it goes way deeper than just our bad actions. It's about our allegiance. The Apostle Paul in the book of Romans argues that we've all created our own little gods, our own sets of rules, and in doing so, we've all fallen short. We've all placed ourselves under this just judgment. And that means our best efforts, trying harder, being a good person, hoping our good deeds outweigh the bad, they just can't fix our fundamental status before a holy God. They don't even come close. So if our own efforts are totally useless for bridging this gap, what is God's answer? Well, it's not about us working to become righteous. It's something else entirely. God designed this brilliant and incredibly gracious solution that theologians often call the Great Exchange. So what is justification? Okay, think of it as a legal declaration from God in his courtroom. It's not a process that makes us perfect inside overnight. It's an immediate, one-time change in our legal standing before him. It's kind of like God takes the final verdict of righteous from the future judgment day and announces it over us right here, right now, in the present. And this is the absolute core of the Great Exchange. It's a divine transaction. On the cross, all of our sin, all of our guilt was legally transferred. The Bible uses the word imputed to Christ. He took the punishment that we deserved. But that's only half of it. In return, his perfect righteousness, his perfect record is credited to our account. It's a complete swap, and it's all initiated by God's grace. This verse from Romans, wow, it is the key that unlocks this whole beautiful idea. How can a truly just God let guilty people go free? It seems like a paradox, right? Well, because of this plan, he remains perfectly just because sin is punished in Christ. And at the exact same time, he is the justifier, the one who declares the ungodly to be righteous. It's just a stunning, brilliant resolution to what seemed like an impossible dilemma. Okay, so if this righteousness is a totally free gift, how do we get it? How do we receive it? The Bible's answer, over and over, is by faith alone. But honestly, this is one of the most misunderstood phrases out there, so let's get really clear on what biblical faith actually is. In our culture, we use the word faith for all sorts of things. Sometimes it just means religion, or it's seen as this purely subjective, personal feeling. You have your faith, I have mine. But the Bible uses the word very, very differently. Biblical faith has two essential parts. First, it's belief in something that is objectively true, and second, it's a personal trust in the God who is the source of that truth. See, biblical faith is always grounded in reality. The Bible never asks us to just believe in things that aren't true. In 1 Corinthians 15, Paul makes this incredible argument. He basically says, look, if Christ was not physically and historically raised from the dead, then our faith is completely useless and we're just wasting our time. That shows you that faith is only as good as the object it's placed in, and the object of our faith is the living, risen Jesus Christ. And this little breakdown really helps solve the puzzle of how salvation can be by grace alone and faith alone. They don't compete with each other. Think of it this way. Grace is the ground we stand on. It's the foundation of everything, God's free, unearned gift. Faith isn't the ground. Faith is simply the means. It's the channel. It's the open hand that receives the gift that grace offers. Now, this incredible truth about being justified by faith alone, it naturally leads to a really critical and practical question. It's a question the Bible itself expects us to ask, right? If my status before God is totally secure by my faith in what Christ did, not by my own actions, does that mean my actions are just irrelevant? This is such a crucial question because if we get the answer wrong, we can fall into this dangerous trap of easy believism, which completely misunderstands the full scope of what God does when he saves someone. So the key is to understand that justification, while it's the foundation, is not the whole story of salvation. The Bible teaches that when God saves someone, he does a complete work. He justifies them, instantly changing their legal status. He sanctifies them, which is a lifelong process of changing their character to be more like Christ. And one day, he will glorify them, perfecting them completely. Now, these three things are distinct. You can define them differently, but in a true believer, they are absolutely inseparable. It's a package deal. C.S. Lewis had this fantastic analogy for this. He said to imagine two men seeking a reward. One is involved in a business transaction and he gets a payment. The other pursues a relationship, which leads to a wedding. Both get a reward, right? But the second one isn't a payment. It's the natural fulfillment, the consummation of the relationship. Our good works are like that. They aren't a transaction to earn God's favor. They're the joyful, natural result of our new relationship with him. Or think of it this way. Picture a father raking leaves in the yard, and his little kid comes out to help. But of course, the kid just scatters the leaves everywhere and makes a bigger mess. Does the dad get angry and punish him? No. Out of love, he smiles, brings the child inside, and they have hot chocolate together. In the same way, our good works, compared to God's perfection, they're imperfect. But God doesn't see them as a payment. He graciously accepts them as the loving responses of his children. So it all comes down to this famous summary from the Protestant reformers, and it's perfect. Yes, we are declared righteous by faith and faith alone. But, and this is the key, the kind of faith that truly justifies is never alone. A real living faith will inevitably produce the fruit of a changed life and good works, not to earn salvation, but to show that we have it. At the end of the day, this isn't just some abstract idea for a theology class. This is life-changing truth. Justification is the gift from God that secures our peace with him forever. It lifts the crushing, impossible burden of trying to earn his approval and sets us free. And it's that very freedom that becomes the powerful engine for a new and transformed life, lived not out of fearful obligation, but out of overflowing gratitude. The truth of justification isn't just meant to be understood. It's a new reality to be lived in. It's a reality that frees us from the guilt of our past failures and the constant pressure to perform. When you truly grasp that you have been declared righteous by God himself, well, that changes everything. So the question for all of us to think about is this: how might this divine declaration change the way you see yourself and the way you live today? Thanks for watching.